my intention is, I'd like to ask you to repeat the questions about whether or not we have fully explored all alternative about global governance in addressing both climate agenda and development. Because we understand very well, if you look at the pink chart here, so even if we combine all the nationally determined contributions of climate change, it will only reduce the emission in 2100 by minus 2.6% compared to 2019. But to avoid 1.5 degree warming, we actually need minus 43%. See, the gap is high. So I'd like to say that maybe why this is almost like, I know it's a big thing to reduce to minus 2.6, but to avoid catastrophic impact of climate change, we most likely will fail. So some people say it is about the politics, but to my colleague, all the economists, I think the answer, is mostly economics. So we haven't really solved the personal dilemma problem. Because climate change issue, the mitigation benefit is basically public goods. You don't get the benefit right away. So you people tend to free ride. So unlike Montreal Protocol for ozone layer depletion, for example, that we can address quite successfully, climate change is a very different game in terms of scale, in terms of the time horizon. So it seems that we haven't solved this free riding problem in the global climate governance. Well, people start to come up with ideas. William Nordos come up with the climate club, for example. Or maybe you're aware about custom border adjustment mechanism. That's also one aspect that economics try to propose on how to solve this prisoner's dilemma problem. So if we don't address the prisoner dilemma problem of free riding, it's most likely we cannot achieve success in global climate actions. Now, developing countries is getting more important in addressing these issues because 75% 2020 emissions coming from developing countries now. For the past decade increased 95% coming from developing countries. The prisoner dilemma will be more serious looking at the developing country has even more agenda that may be conflicting with the development agenda. Okay? Yet, look at China, look at Vietnam. Okay? China in 25 years managed to double its GDP per CO2. They managed to decouple sulfur dioxide and NOx emissions 3 times faster than OECD. Look at Vietnam, our neighbor. Now they have a solar energy 10% in their energy mix, highest in Southeast Asia. Now, and also the ambition is even much higher than that. So what I'm saying is, even though we haven't solved this prisoner dilemma, so even though developing country has their development agenda that is urgent, yet we can still see some progress in the global south. When you look at carefully, I read the development planning of China, a lot of paper on Vietnam, I come to conclusion that what they're doing, maybe they have climate change in their agenda, but they are not primary concern. Their primary concern is national interest. Public health, modernizations, energy security. So it's not really the international pressure is not really their prime motivation. These are their prime motivations. So I ask, have we fully explored and accounted for the potential co-benefit of climate actions in developing countries' negotiations? Or in other words, could these co-benefits be leveraged to reshape the payoff matrix of the prisoner dilemma so that we can solve it. So next slide, please. So this is what I propose. People propose climate mainstreaming, okay? So climate mainstreaming is an attempt to integrate climate agenda into development agenda. So in this graph is a movement from left to right. There are risks to this. Why? Aid diversions. Aid diversions mean you may get the aid commitment from donor may be diverted. Okay? Beneficiary misalignment. If you focus on climate focus development agenda, you may overlook poorer regions. You may add conditionality to development aid. And also institutional capacity constraints. It's difficult to monitor how we do environment development agenda, and now we have to also have climate agenda. Okay? So, why don't we also look at vertically? In addition to low integration of climate to full integration of climate, we also see national priority of their development and remap all of these connections between development and climate agenda. Because if you look only at the bottom part, maybe you may end up with the last one, climate-centric initiative, low development priority, high climate relevance. You may end up with synergistic priority, but I doubt you will find a lot. Okay? I just give you an example. Clean development mechanism. I think it's a good examples of climate-centric initiatives. Why? Because the agenda is to help developed countries to clean up. Okay, so it's a climate-centric initiatives. So what I mean is, in addition to moving left to right, you have also moving from left bottom to the right bottom. And you can also compromise by moving left a little bit. For example, you may compromise a bit on the climate change agenda, but you still have high development priority, moderate climate relevance, so you have balanced growth priority. Okay? You may lose one synergistic priority development agenda, but you may unearth, you may uncover a large numbers of other development agenda that if you add it up, you may end up getting a higher emissions benefit. Who knows? So that's one view. So this is my suggestions of the global climate development governance. Last slide, why I really pushed on this, because I will show you the next slide, please. 3 things. First, developing countries are facing now new development challenges, different. See, you have middle income trap, growth slowdown. Everybody want to escape middle income trap. Most developing countries, emerging economy are urbanized, yet our urban planning is not that good. So if you see electrifications of transport, that's not, you cannot only see it from climate perspective, but you can only see how poor people can be mobile from their home to their office, and they reduce your out-of-pocket expenses. So that's the development agenda. But on top of it, also there's the climate agenda. Clean water, groundwater management, energy efficiency. And also, the structural transformation today that developing countries face is different than in the 1980s. We have premature industrialization. Forget about Africa copying Asian miracles. No way, different. Now everybody facing tertiarization. See, if there is no option, reindustrialization may be preferable to many people, including in Indonesia. But the difficulty of achieving reindustrialization should give us should make us to anticipate it won't work. So we have to have plan B. But from the climate perspective, if we focus on facilitating tertiarization rather than supporting reindustrialization, that may not work. That tertiarization will have more climate benefit because it's use less materials, use less energy compared to reindustrialization. So this angle may have been overlooked. Also future of works. So that's the first reason. The second reason, long time ago, Washington consensus of free market has been dominating the narrative of development. Now it changed. Now we have more diverse array of alternative development narratives. People conveniently talk about redistribution rather than market, governance or institution other than hard infrastructures. Sorry. Development state, talk it every day. Domestic focus, Prabowo has been very domestic focused. Global challenge, maybe not the primary objective. We have quick growth gain, self-sufficiency inside free trade, research ecosystem building or technology transfers. So this is more diverse now. So the menu of development is more. And it comes to my last point. The menu of development narrative is a lot more now. The seller and the provider also more. Now we have new players and partnership emerging to diversify landscape of international development support. Even Rwanda has Rwanda Corporation. Even Indonesia has Indonesian aid. China, WUS everywhere, WUS, electrification. So OECD now reconsidering their narrative of development at the moment, because I was invited to talk in their ambassadors meeting a few months ago. They are reconsidering, looking at this new diversity in both menu of development and the supplier of development. So that ends my intervention. Thank you.